don't answer yet. One of the things, this is a question that I want you to sort of ponder today and tomorrow and the next day, and maybe even after you get out of Philmont, and maybe even for a couple years. This one's not an instant answer question, but I want you to ask yourselves this. Why do you think the loggers are here? Why are they at Philmont? Why are we out here tonight? Because these gentlemen all have a lot of options. I actually see like graduate degrees, engineering degrees. I see people that are out here volunteering for free. I see all sorts of opportunities over here, and yet every one of us, including myself, has chosen to be here today. And I want you to think about why that might be. And as we talk about that, I want to tell you a story about the first time I ever came out to Philmont. I love this story. I think the story is instructive, to say the least. And so let me set the stage for you. My first time out here at Philmont was, and this pains me to say, but it was 21 years ago. It was 2003, and I came out here as a young 16-year-old, and I was going on a big Philmont adventure. And so I left Cincinnati, Ohio, where I was growing up, came out here at Philmont, and as I stepped into base camp, I knew this was going to be great. There was nothing that could possibly go wrong because I had 3 characteristics that made me a great backpacker. And those 3 characteristics were, I was overweight, out of shape, and had never been backpacking in my life. And so with all the overconfidence that only a 16-year-old can muster, I arrived at Philmont. And just like all of you, we do exactly what you did when we arrived in base camp. And we meet our ranger. My ranger was awesome. She did her job perfectly. This was not her fault. So she dumps out my backpack. We're doing shakedown. She dumps out my backpack, and she looks at all the stuff I brought, and she's like, Zach, you brought 42 pairs of socks, 19 changes of clothes, a raincoat, rain pants, poncho, frog togs, umbrella, and like a unicycle? Like, what are you doing? And so I'm like, I need it all. And she goes, no, you don't. Don't bring any of that stuff. And so she moves on to the next person after helping me shake down and get rid of fully half the weight in my pack. And being the genius that I was, I put all that stuff back in my pack when she was not looking. And so now, who here remembers the big fish hook or saw the big fish hook in base where you can weigh your pack before you leave? Anybody weigh their pack? Who weighed it? Who weighed their pack? Okay, here's my actual favorite question. Who didn't weigh their pack because they didn't want to know? Yeah, there we go. That's the real question. So, again, being this overconfident 16-year-old out here at Philmont, I wanted to know. And so I grabbed my backpack, and allow me to set the scene for you with a little reenactment. I grab my backpack and I like waddle up to the fish hook and I put it on the fish hook and I let go, and thud, the fish hook bounces off the bottom of the scale. And when the fish hook is done ricocheting back and forth, it is pointing to 56 pounds. That is too many pounds. I did not pack very well. And I did not know what I was getting into. And so, to make matters worse, back then they just numbered the treks 1 through 35. 1 being the easiest, 35 being the hardest. We, of course, were on trek number 34. And trek number 34 at the time went 115 miles. That's not including side hikes. It went over the Tooth of Time. It went over Mount Baldy. It went over Mount Phillips. And it went over every rock in between. If anything's higher than your knee, you are obligated to climb it on trek number 34. And so, I throw on my backpack. We leave base. We arrive down at Poniel. We hike from the turnaround into Poniel 1 mile. And I arrive at Poniel, throw off my backpack, belt back 36 cups of root beer. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that was easy. I don't know why anybody says Philmont is hard. And then the next day, we get up, we leave Poniel, and we hike up here, and we arrive in Pueblano. And that is also a very easy hike. It's only a few miles. It's a gentle, sweet little uphill from Poniel to here. Not hard. And so I arrive here, and I think to myself once again, this place is easy. I don't know what anyone's complaining about. And that day at Pueblano was really incredible for me. Really meaningful for me, in fact. When I arrived in Pueblano that day, I was not a musician. I had no interest in playing music. When in middle school, they made me play an instrument. They made me play the saxophone, and they made me play marching band music. And it turns out I hate marching band music. And I got out here, and I watched the Pueblano crew in our campfire bowl back that way a bit, not right here on this porch. But I watched the Pueblano crew do a show, and I loved it. I had an incredible time. I liked the music. I liked the stories. I liked the whole thing. I liked it so much, I remember like where I sat. I remember the clothing that I had on. Like, that day is seared into my memory. That was a day that really changed the trajectory of my life. I had no idea at the time, but it really did. But you only stay at most camps one day. And so we left the next day. And that's when the trek starts to get hard, day 3, 4, 5, 6, and onward. And that's when we were headed towards Mount Baldy. We were headed uphill. And that 56-pound pack really started to crush me. And very soon, I found that my feet hurt, and my knees hurt, and my back hurt. And I was too hot during the day. I was too cold at night. I was soaking wet every time it rained. I was freezing cold after that. I was just miserable. And in response to the challenges of Philmont, I did exactly the wrong thing. I did my very best to just be somewhere else mentally. I completely checked out of this place. I started thinking about all sorts of things that were not at Philmont. I started thinking about going home and having a cheeseburger and watching a movie and playing video games. And I would talk with everyone in my crew about this stuff and just try and refocus everybody away from this place. And honestly, I was completely successful. Because now, when I stand here and I think about the rest of that trek, it's a haze. I can't even list the camps we stayed in. I really cannot. I did my best not to be here, and it worked. And we left. I made it all the way through the trek. I managed to haul myself all the way to the end of that 115 miles. And I went home. And when I got home, I did all the stuff I'd wanted to do. I ate that cheeseburger, and it wasn't that good. I watched a movie. I don't even remember what movie it was. It was probably bad. I played video games for the millionth time in my life, and who cares? And a week or so after being home, I realized something. My feet didn't hurt anymore. My knees didn't hurt anymore. My legs didn't hurt. My back didn't hurt. I was warm and dry and comfortable. And I thought back to Philmont, and I remembered about 2 amazing days. I remember those Pueblano boys. I remember thinking, what are they doing out there? Why are they there? And I didn't remember the rest of that trek. I wasted the rest of that trek. And so a few years later, my troop decided to send more people out to Philmont. And being a little older, a little wiser, I signed up. Glutton for punishment. Can't get enough. And so I came out here. And this time I came out here with a very different thought. And the thought was, no matter what happens, all the discomfort of Philmont is temporary. And this time I want to remember that trek. So I am going to hurl myself at Philmont. And I'm going to enjoy every aspect of it. I'm going to take even the difficult parts with a little bit of humor. If I put up my tent in the hail, I'm going to laugh about it. If my feet hurt, I'm just going to plow through it. And no matter what happens at Philmont, I'm just going to do my darndest to enjoy myself and be there every single day. And I did that. And that second trek was a riot. I had an amazing time. And the last night of that trek, some staff member stood in front of me and he said, well, Zach, why don't you come work out here? It looks like you're having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun. You should come do this. And I did that, and it has been this for me ever since. They can't get rid of me. I love this place. I keep coming back. And I want to make sure that is a message that you've heard from me, that you have the opportunity to come work out here if you want to. But more importantly, even if you never come back, even if this is the only time you ever come out here, I want you to look around and try and think, why is everybody here? Why do people love this place so much? What is it about Philmont that people find out here? Because it's different for every single person. It causes them to love it so much. It causes us to come back out here summer after summer. And while you are here, I want you to be here and enjoy this place for what it is. Take the challenges for what they are. And I want to steer you around that mistake I made. I'm trying to pay that forward. So gentlemen and ladies, that is my suggestion for you tonight. I hope that you will hear that and take my advice. That being said, we are going to end this show in the same way that all shows end out here at Philmont. So we're going to sing the Philmont hymn, which means if you are a current or former staff member, come up here, and everybody else stand up. We're going to sing.
Silver on the stage, starlit skies. out in God's country tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. If you want to go to bed, if you stay, we are going to play a little bit more music. You're welcome to stay and listen, but if you need to leave, then by all means, please leave.